Why, hello everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and this morning we're going to go into a series of critical management skills. Now, I have learned that most people struggle, not because of their lack of ability. They struggle because nobody's taken the time to show them how to think, learn, and lead in the right way. In these next few minutes, I'm not going to give you just one idea. I'm actually going to walk you through a sequence. The sequence starts with you, and then moves into how you think, and then shows you the moment that changed everything for me, and finally gives you a system that you can actually use. Grandmaster Buell shared with us years ago that people become awakened at different times in their life. So let's get this party started, because it's now your time. Well, hello everybody. This is Garland. Welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. I tell you, I'm excited to bring this to you because this is finally, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of what Stepping Stone is all about. So we're going to be sharing some stuff with you tonight that's going to be kind of profound. So this is where you write it down and then commit it to memory, or put it in your phone and put it in a file that says important stuff, because it's important stuff. So let's open up with the fact that in my life when I was younger, I inadvertently placed myself in harm's way many times. And I got to tell you straight up, it's only by the grace of God that I'm still with you today. I know that important stuff happens in my life in a certain order. That's called destiny. So enough about me, let's talk about you. Here we go into the profound stuff. Look at me dead in my eyes on this one. I am serious as a heart attack when I tell you this. So hear me when I say, you have value. You are going to make valuable decisions. It's going to impact this world in a positive manner. We all have a sphere of influence, and your sphere of influence is bigger than what you realize. You are an unstoppable force for good, and quite candidly, you are destined for greatness. Now understand that you could have been watching any video that YouTube has to offer out there, and there's some great ones, but you're watching this video right here and right now. This is part of your destiny. This is part of the message you need to hear. I'm just the messenger. So let me deliver this message again. You have value. You're going to make valuable decisions. It's going to impact this world in a positive manner. We all have a sphere of influence, and your sphere of influence is bigger than what you realize. You are an unstoppable force for good. You are destined for greatness. I need you to internalize these words, embrace them, and make them your own. I need this to become like your mantra. Or as my son, Brandon, he's our middle boy, he says so eloquently, it's already mine. It's just a matter of time. So when your head hits the pillow tonight, I want these words to resonate with you. So let me say it again. You have value. You're going to make valuable decisions that's going to impact this world in a positive way. Everybody has a sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence is bigger than what you realize. You are an unstoppable force for good, and you are destined for greatness. So that's it. That's the only message I wanted to share with you tonight. This is the tip of the iceberg as far as what stepping stones to your success is going to be bringing you in the future. And I'm excited to share that with you. So have a wonderful evening, folks. Go find your family, give them a hug, and tell them you love them. And I'll be back to you soon. Good night, guys. So now you're probably thinking, what does this actually do for me? You know, that's a fair question. So let me answer that question with this. If you're a business executive, entrepreneur, team leader, or aspiring manager, this channel was built for you. Welcome to Critical Management Skills, The Secrets of Business Management by Garland R. Johnson. That's me. Now we're going to get to me in just a little bit, but right now, let's focus in on you. Every video on this channel is going to give you the tools to lead with confidence, solve problems faster, and build teams that thrive. Now, by this time, you should be asking 3 questions. Number 1, why should I care? Number 2, what's in this for me? And number 3, why should I trust you, Garland? Well, let's jump into those questions right now. Number 1, why should I care? Because leadership is not optional, folks. It's essential. Without it, you got to deal with unmotivated employees, missed deadlines, and constant pressure. But with the right tools, you can turn chaos into clarity. So the next question is, what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for you is clear step-by-step systems that you can apply immediately, such as time management strategies, communication tools that correct without crushing, motivation techniques for struggling employees, and conflict resolution methods that earn respect. Folks, we're not dealing with theory here. We're dealing with real-world results. The last question that's justified is, why should I trust you, Garland? Oh, that's easy. Over this last 5 decades, I've worked on the management team of 3 Fortune 500 companies, while also building and leading a chain of 16 professional and highly successful martial arts schools. I'm a 10th degree martial arts professor, a 4-time world champion and leadership coach that have trained literally thousands to perform at their best. I have lived the challenges that you face, and I know what works. This channel is different because there's no fluff. It's just proven strategies that you can use the same day. Because leadership is not about titles, it's about impact. So whether you're leading hundreds, building a business, or managing your first team, the skills you're going to learn here are going to change the way that you lead and also change the way that your team performs. So, welcome to the journey, and let's get this party started. Now, before we get into this system of thinking, I probably need to help you understand where it came from. This doesn't come from books. This comes from a moment that changed how I see everything. Do you know that our human brain processes 4,000 bytes per second in a calm state? But do you know when we get into an amped up or excited state, our brain processes 4 million bytes per second? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about critical management skills and the origin of that and how that came about. And believe it or not, our critical management skills came about as a result of me getting a ticket. It was a speeding ticket. I was going with the flow of the traffic, and sure enough, I was the one that got pulled over. Police officer says, "Do you understand why I pulled you over, sir?" And I says, "No, sir, I have no idea." And he says, "It's because you were speeding." Says, "But I was just going with the flow of the traffic." And he says, "Do you ever go fishing?" I says, "Yeah, I fish every once in a while." And he says, "Do you try and catch all the fish, or you just try and catch one?" And I said, "With all due respect, sir, that's a lousy analogy." I got my ticket, and I showed up on my day in court, and I was dressed for success, got my suit and tie, got sat down with the DA, and he was sitting with me to see if I was interested in taking a plea bargain for a lesser charge. So I explained to him, I said, "I will pay any fine you want me to pay. I will do any class you want me to do, but I just need to walk out of this building with having 0 points on this ticket." And he looked at the ticket. He says, "Well, it's a 6-point ticket." I says, "Yes, sir, I know that." Then he looked at the computer, looked back at me and says, "I can drop it down to 2 points." And I said, "Sir, 0 points would be better." He looked back at his computer and then looked at me again. He says, "I tell you what, if you pay a $300 fine, and you take a 2-day defensive driving course, I will put it down to 0. And I said, "Consider it done." We shook hands and it was a done deal. Now remember, the day I showed up for that driving thing, it was on January the 19th on a Saturday. And it was 2 8-hour days. 1 hour was going to be classroom, and the other 7 hours were going to be on the road. Now, we had already put our oldest son through this training, so we kind of knew what was in store for. But I got to tell you, as the day unfolded, I was totally impressed with the information that was shared and how it was disseminated as well. Because I understood the similarities that the instructor was using to get across his systems and processes, because it was much like what we do in the martial arts school with our systems and processes. You know, they talked about the auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning systems. They talk about psychomotor skills. They shared the state of mind thing and behavioral traits and belief systems. They talk about thought, focus, and concentration. And they talked about how learning and applying what's called calm assertiveness. From a martial arts school owner's perspective, I've got to tell you, we are always looking for systems that are different than ours that we can apply, enhance, and take from. There's a couple of great concepts that came out of this training that I still remember to this day. Number one is What they shared that we used right away is that you are going to learn some self-protection and leadership skills you ain't going to learn anyplace else. You need to thank your family for enrolling you in this program. One of the things that I really enjoyed learning was concerning psychomotor skills. Do you know that our human brain processes 4,000 bytes per second in a calm state? But do you know when we get into an amped up or excited state, our brain processes 4 million bytes per second. That's why at times it seems like things are moving in slow motion when we're in an excited state. The biggest light bulb that came on for me is when they started talking about the importance of developing our critical skills to be successful while driving. Now, with the average attendee in this class of 30 being in the age of 16 or younger, I could really relate to how the instructor broke it down and spoke in a language that they could understand. And perhaps this is what stimulated my own creative mind to think about how we could take these concepts and interweave them into the fabric of the culture of our martial arts school. Then I got to thinking, what if we created a system called critical management skills that we could share with our instructors and our up-and-coming instructors to set their students up for success? So I took the concepts that were bouncing around in my head and I started putting them to paper. And before I knew it, folks, we had 40 plus critical management skill topics. You know, some years back, our instructor, Grandmaster Buell, he sat all of his top students down and he says, look, I want you to learn what I've learned, but I need you to learn it in half the time. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those students, and that resonated with me, and I kind of internalized that and share it with my students now. So these critical management skills are quite simply an extension of what Grandmaster Buell instilled in us so many years ago. And now we get to share them with you. So thank you for tuning in, folks. I appreciate you being here. All the best to your family. Have a wonderful evening. I'll be back to you soon. Now that experience taught me something powerful, but more importantly, it revealed a pattern, a system that explains how people learn and improve. Let me show you. The best way to teach a student nothing is to try and teach them everything all at once. Quick review on the 4 steps in learning. I'm going to do it, you're going to watch. Number next, you're going to do it, and I'm going to watch. Number next is you're going to do it 1,000 times, and I'm going to check it later. And then number 4 is you show somebody else how to do it. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and we're going to jump right into critical management skill number 6, which is the 4 steps of learning. We got to teach so that the students can make it their own. Over the years, we have found it best to break down a person's learning into bite-sized pieces for better comprehension by that individual. The best way to teach a student nothing is to try and teach them everything all at once. The following concept has served us very well, whether it be teaching a sidekick on the floor or teaching how to answer the phone behind the desk. We have found this concept works in every aspect of our martial arts school, but also outside of the martial arts in business or in corporate America as well. The breakdown is as follows. Number 1 is, I'm going to do it, you're going to watch. Using the sidekick example for a moment, I will demonstrate the sidekick while explaining and breaking it down into 5 actions, which is body position, chambering, extension, rechamber, back to position. While using the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic techniques we learned earlier, we're going to stress to keep the kick low at first. We're focusing on correct form, balance, and flow. Making sure to explain that speed, power, and height will come later. Number 2 is you're going to do it, and I'm going to watch. Now it's their turn. With a forgiving eye and a helpful hand, we help them through the process of the 5 actions to complete the sidekick. Applying praise, correct praise, which we learned earlier, we will baby step them through this awkward and cumbersome time of learning, while at the same time reinforcing and rewarding effort over perfection. Number 3 is you're going to do it 1,000 times, and I'm going to check it later. We explain that repetition is the mother of skill. Now you're going to have to make this into a habit or part of your muscle memory. There's no shortcuts on this, y'all. Grandmaster Buell says, and I'm paraphrasing, you don't think about walking, you just take another step. You don't think about breathing, you just take another breath. Thus is the way of Kempo. You don't think about Kempo, it's just the way you are. We must work to make this sidekick to where it's second nature for us. This is only going to happen, folks, with repetition, by doing it over and over and over again. I know it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. That is why it'll be so rewarding when you master it. You can do this. I have faith in you. I'll be back to check on you shortly. Number 4 is, now you show someone else how to do this. This is the important part. We have seen greatness in action as a person goes through this final phase of learning. It is only then when we know the student has internalized what they have learned and made it their own. In looking at this deeper, we know that in order for a student to share what they have learned, they've got to take this sidekick apart and they got to put it back together. They must do this in such a way that they can effectively communicate, demonstrate, articulate, and teach this sidekick to another person. It is then that we know they have this sidekick locked in, and it is part of what they are and know with conviction and confidence. We know they now have arrived. Quick review on the 4 steps in learning. I'm going to do it, you going to watch. Number next, you going to do it, and I'm going to watch. Number next is you going to do it 1,000 times, and I'm going to check it later. And then number 4 is you show somebody else how to do it. That brings us back full circle on critical management skill number 6, the 4 steps in learning. Have a wonderful night. All the best to your family, and I'll be back to you real soon. Now, this is where it gets interesting, folks, because knowing a system is one thing, but applying it, especially when you get it wrong, well, that's where leaders are actually made. So, folks, if you lost some of your best people because you didn't control your tongue or control your temper, hey, this one's for you. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and we're going to go right into critical management skill number 1. Now, critical management skill number 1 is what we call praise, correct, praise. And now what I've learned is you get more from sugar than you do from vinegar. When we're working with folks that we're responsible for, it's important that we help them accomplish their goals and build their confidence simultaneously. As an example, when a person begins their journey to black belt, whether it be in martial arts or in life, this can be a scary and cumbersome time. These soft skills that I'm sharing with you now are applicable in martial arts and, more importantly, outside of the martial arts in the business community as well. Keep in mind, with an adult especially, that there's 2 things that they want when they're learning something new. They don't want to get hurt, and they don't want to look stupid in front of their peers. It's important that we, as good mentors, teachers, instructors, and bosses, acknowledge and emphasize effort over perfect technique. This is why the concept of praise, correct, praise is so effective. This is sometimes referred to as a compliment sandwich. Now, as a young instructor, I got to tell you, I made some pretty stupid mistakes. And one such mistake was thinking that my people, especially the students that are closest to me and know me, should already know that I love and care about them. And the only time I really need to speak to them is when I need to scold them or correct them. Until one student stood up and says, "Do we ever do anything right?" he asked me. And that question hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized I was approaching this all wrong. I was in the correct mode. And that's when I discovered this praise, correct, praise concept. As an example, when I had a new student out on the mat, in the old days, and I'd ask them to right leg back and hands up set, and they'd step back with their left leg. And I'd jump all over them. It says, "Can you not hear the words that I'm saying? Do you have wax in your ears? Are you not paying attention? Hear my voice when I tell you right leg back, not left leg back." And boy, was that a stupid thing to do. I end up crushing their spirit right from the get-go. So what I've learned to do now is when I say right leg back and hands up set, they step back with the left leg, and I'm saying, "Good job in stepping back." And I make a gentle correction. "Go ahead and switch your feet." Now that right there, that's a black belt stance right there. So what I've done is I've praised them for stepping back and doing what they thought I asked them to do. I made a gentle correction by saying switch your feet. Once they made that switching of the feet, then I praised them on making that correction. So praise, correct, praise, I got to tell you folks, it's the bomb. And it's worked phenomenally well, and it helped me to stop from crushing people's spirit. And I would encourage you to blend this concept of praise, correct, praise into your teaching and mentoring style as well. All the best to you and your family. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be back to you real soon. By making it this far, this is what I want you to understand. Leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about learning how to think, how to grow, and how to help others do the same. What you just watched was not 5 separate videos. It is one message. You're closer than you think. Your thinking shapes your results. Your experiences can become your greatest teachers. And when you apply the right systems, you don't just improve, you transform. So the question is, what are you going to do with all this? What I would suggest is review it again, internalize it, make it part of your own, and then let's take it to the next level. So enjoy the rest of your day. All the best to you and your family, and I'll be back to you real soon.